All right, here we got a Ford Focus with 226,000 miles on it. Just gonna show you a look around. This may be the last time I have a good look at this car myself, as I'm going to be probably selling it as is tomorrow. I haven't the time to fix it right now. The reason this one failed is the timing belt went loose. Look how slack that is. And look at this. This pulley right here is bare metal. There's supposed to be kind of a plastic cover on it. I found this just kind of just loose down there. That goes right there on that pulley, and that's why the pulley lost some thickness and the belt went slack and everything went loose. It just wore through. So this is 226,000 miles. We don't know if this is the original belt or not. The belt looks in good health. It's just that plastic that just wore through. So long story short, the motor still has compression. The engine probably jumped valves by a few teeth. It's the timing cover off. We got the intake out and the coolant reservoir is not there. Kind of just charging the battery to show the customer tomorrow. But yeah. So what symptoms do I have? I have good compression, engine turns over, but I had very low power suddenly on the highway. Extremely low power. And what happened there is I basically could only drive like 5 miles an hour in the middle of the night out here in the California Central Valley. It was very cold that night, and I had to walk back the last stretch. Someone gave me a ride about a mile down the road, and then I walked home the last way, got it towed to the house. But yeah, I was really like dumbfounded. It's got good fuel pressure, good compression, spark, changed the coil pack, changed the spark plug wires, and nothing. It was just I couldn't get it to start. And I got a mechanic, came down here, he charged me $32 to diagnose it. He found out that it was this timing belt that went loose. He kind of seemed to know what the common problem on these is. So it needs a timing belt job. And basically what happened here is this went loose. So look around the car and how's it held up. We got an aftermarket headlight. The bumper's been changed. This is not the original hood. It got in a crash and they straightened the frame out right here. It's not a salvage title. The crash did not go reported, as it was a crash into a wall, if you will. So it didn't, not a salvage. Actually, it is a salvage title because it came to me as a salvage title. But yeah, got in an accident. It had them straighten the frame out, change the front end on it. So that's not original. The lights have been changed. There's been many sets of brakes. Now the car is pretty worn out. The windshield's coming off because it was changed, and whoever changed the windshield, they did not glue it down properly. So that's what that happened. Take a look at the inside here. Odometer is reading 226,000 miles. The cluster has held up, but wait till you see how well my Toyota with the same mileage, or actually a little bit more mileage, has held up. The automatic transmission is slipping slightly, but we neglected to change the fluid towards the end of its life. This is right in the middle of when American cars were not at their best quality, kind of before they shifted towards manufacturing a lot of cars in Mexico, which brought the labor costs down and allowing for a little bit higher quality components to be used. So this is an American-made Ford Focus. I believe, I'm not sure which plant it's made at, but it is built by the Ford Motor Company, and I believe the state of Michigan. This one's the second bezel here. I changed that, but my brother cracked that one when he was in a bad mood. But the interior, the steering wheel's held up pretty fine. Not like on some of the later Focuses where this just falls apart. Airbag's still there. I believe the airbag light is on, but that's probably due with the salvage title. They didn't reset the module and the like. The glove box has failed completely. It just comes out. That's broken. The chairs have held up well, but that's because they've been covered for most of their life. The seat cover's falling apart, but underneath we've got pretty intact seat. E-brake is kind of loose, but we've changed that before. Most of the switches in here have still held up. All that's fine. So the interior hasn't held up too badly. It's not like the Toyota that I've got. That thing is in good shape. The interior down here is not too dirty either. I kind of have tried to keep it clean. It was last in my service. I clean a car up as soon as I get it. Other people that were driving it weren't keeping it as clean. But yeah, I believe the suspension probably has never been changed. This thing was pretty janky on the road, but we're just rolling in it as is, kind of just using it just to get by. Paint starting to peel on the roof here. The paint did not hold. We got some rust there. Somebody could do it spraying some white paint right there. Other than that, the paint's held well. This is, again, not the original hood. The other one had paint failure already. But yeah, man, I patched this thing a bunch of times. It's got a new radiator in it. The old one damaged in the crash. Put a used one in, it fell apart. The alternator is held up well. It's probably not the original, but someone's changed it. I rebuilt the power steering pump, and the power steering's working flawlessly. I didn't even need a rebuild, I just did it. Engine is held up well, other than that timing belt issue there. Probably, maybe it was a cheap timing belt job someone else did. I don't know what the exact story is on it. But yeah, the car overall has held up well, but it's just an arrangement that's very hard to fix. We had a problem with the fuel pump that we had to change that, but it may have been a grounding error fault. The battery terminals went out, the stock ones were having an issue, and this thing was having issues. Some of my family drove it all the way to Wisconsin earlier in the a couple years back, like 2 years ago in 2020. They made it all the way there and back, but it was having issues with the battery terminals. Maybe it never was the fuel pump that was the problem. It was poor grounding, and that's why we were having that problem. The car still works. Transmission is slipping a little, but it's not comparable to a Corolla from 2003 with the same mileage. That Corolla is flawless. This little rubber thing's gone there, the hood prop. What else did I change? Overall, the EFI system's working good. We changed the spark plugs on it. We kind of tuned it up the other time. Valve cover gasket. It had a total PCV hose failure. It had that happen. The PCV hose is all round up back there and the like. So yeah, we used to put in a lot of maintenance into this car. Cheap maintenance. We're using mostly junkyard parts and just buying new stuff where you need it. It's like junkyard windshield wipers and the like. Hopefully whoever buys it will put it into some good service, or I may yet fix it. Who knows? It may still be in service. It may still be on the road. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a good car, but it hasn't been the worst. You know, still running from still usable. I imagine it might make it a 300 before the transmission totally goes out, because we don't really hammer on it, but we did neglect to change the fluid, and yes, the transmission does slip when you step on it hard. Headlights, we changed it to these aftermarkets. I tried to like clear coat them and all that. It didn't kind of work. But yeah, this is a look around the Ford Focus from 2003 that's been in like heavy use. Tires out. We're gonna sell it to them with the original rim. But yeah, this thing's seen a lot of use. It's been battered. They broke that window, damaged the mirror, kept rolling in it like that. This thing's been hammered hard. We got a side of the 2011 Fusion that I got right here. This one's also pretty beat from the outside. It was vandalized. And that's why it took a lot of damage, and it was in a crash. There's the engine. The engine's running very nicely. But what else we got for you here that I could tell you about? Now, in my service, it came to me with about 180,000 miles on it. So we put about 43,000 on it, 46,000. Pretty significant mileage. What did we change to get it running? When I got it, it was to run good. It became low on power, but I changed the air filter, and it started working good again after that air filter change. I used to drive this thing like a buck 10 down the fucking 99 freeway out here, driving it between LA and fucking out here in the valley. What is it? So we changed the battery. I changed that once. The fuel pump issue or the grounding problem was the major one. The PCV failure was there. I remember I kind of caught that because it kept blowing valve cover gaskets, kept leaking oil, so I took care of that. The dipstick cracked while we were working. Did a bunch of junk on this car. The motor mount, we changed it because the serpentine belt failed. We just weren't keeping up with the belts. Running it till it dies doesn't work. Change the fucking timing belt on these cars, or you're gonna have this happen. Hopefully the motherfucker didn't bend valves, but I doubt it happened, just because I'm telling you, it still has good compression. But this is what a Ford Focus 2003 looks like. This is a kind of like last look around it. Yeah, had some fun times in this car. You know, went out to some parties, drove it out to fucking Yosemite, fucking slept in it and shit. Like I say, my folks took this thing up to what was it, Washington and the like. So it's been around. It's beat up, but let's see if with this inflation all and the high cost of cars, the next owner keeps it on the road. It's a little 4-cylinder, doesn't waste too much gas. All right, well, just so you know, change that goddamn belt soon. If you don't know the history on it, change the belt.